One rainy evening in Juba, Juma returned home unusually tired and weak. He barely touched his food during dinner, and before Sunday could ask what was wrong, he suddenly collapsed near the doorway. Sunday screamed in panic as neighbors rushed into the house. Together, they carried him into a vehicle and drove quickly toward the hospital. At first, doctors believed it was exhaustion, but weeks became months as tests continued and treatments increased. The truth eventually became frightening. Juma was seriously ill. Sunday refused to leave his side. She slept on hospital benches, prayed endlessly beside his bed, and sold jewelry, cattle, and even part of their land to continue treatment. Her face became thinner from stress and exhaustion, but she never stopped fighting for the man she loved. Every morning, Sunday sat beside Juma's hospital bed, whispering prayers through trembling lips. God, please do not take him from me. Some days Juma improved slightly, smiling weakly at her to give her hope, but other days he became dangerously weaker. One cold evening, he held Sunday's hand tightly, his voice barely audible. If anything happens to me, promise me you will remain strong. Sunday burst into tears immediately, shaking her head desperately. Do not speak like that, she cried while gripping his hand tightly. But deep inside, fear had already entered her heart. Days later, before sunrise, the hospital room became painfully silent. Juma was gone. Sunday collapsed beside his bed, crying uncontrollably as nurses quietly covered his body, while the world she had built with him suddenly shattered before her eyes. The funeral in Ye lasted several days. Women cried through the night, while drums echoed heavily across the village, carrying sorrow through the air. People came from Juba, Tore, and nearby villages to mourn Juma. Sunday sat silently beside the grave, wearing black clothes, her face swollen from endless crying as she stared hopelessly at the fresh soil covering the man she had struggled with for years. Sometimes she held her chest tightly, as if trying to stop the pain inside her heart. But while she mourned deeply, others were already thinking about property. Only weeks after the burial, Tito arrived at the house with clan elders and family members. Their faces were cold and serious as they entered the compound without warmth or sympathy. According to tradition, they claimed that all the properties belonged to Juma's blood family. Sunday stood frozen in disbelief as fear and confusion slowly filled her eyes. Sunday stood there trembling quietly as Tito began listing everything they intended to take: the cattle, the rental houses in Juba, the farmland in Ye, the workshop, the vehicles, and even the home she helped build brick by brick with her husband. But we built all this together, Sunday cried painfully, tears rolling freely down her cheeks while her voice shook with heartbreak. Nobody listened. Rose remained silent beside them, avoiding eye contact while Tito continued speaking harshly like a man hungry for power and wealth. Despite the humiliation and pain burning inside her, Sunday did not insult anyone, fight, or argue. Instead, with trembling hands and heavy tears, she quietly packed a few clothes into one small bag. The compound that once carried laughter and dreams now felt cold and unfamiliar. Neighbors watched silently from a distance as Sunday slowly walked away from the home she built with Juma, carrying nothing except grief and memories. The same woman who helped build an empire from nothing was suddenly homeless.